In Episode 8, Bo-Katan and the rest of the Mandalorians following her are, making their way through some hallways, having escaped the forces of Moff Gideon, who has ambushed the Mandalorians on Mandalore, and have also captured Din Djarin. Thankfully, his capture doesn't last too long, as he's able to break free of the new jet troopers' hold and kill them both. And he's also able to find Grogu, who's still in the IG-11 suit of sorts, and they make their way through the base, taking out different guards and all that cool stuff. Mando's able to do some pretty cool flips and all that, which is nice. Later on, Din ends up finding a room full of pods, full of some sort of, I'm guessing back to liquid, which is like a healing sort of liquid. And inside all of the tubes, as we find out, are what appear to be Moff Gideon's. So it seems that he has attempted to clone himself, sort of, following the plans that the Empire seem to have involving cloning and what, potential that might have. Of course, Din knows the consequences of that, so it destroys all of the pods and all of the clones inside them. Bo-Katan, contacts the previous leader of her group of Mandalorians, Axe, who, thanks to her warning him, has everyone evacuate the, mothership, or whatever they call it, to use as a decoy, while everyone else gets on the drop ships to go and assist everyone back on Mandalore. So Axe takes helm of the larger ship and turns on the blaster cannons to help distract the Imperial bombers and fighters up in the air, or up in space. So both the armor and all of the other Mandalorians on the dropships, drop down and then jetpack their way over to the base to have one big epic battle alongside Bo-Katan, who's holding the Darksaber and kind of leads them to this big fight in the air. Meanwhile, Din Djarin is confronted by Moff Gideon in his new Imperial Mandalorian armor, and he's not too happy that he destroyed his clones, and starts this epic fight between them. And it seems that some aspects of Gideon's armor are a little bit more refined than the standard Mandalorian armor, and does get the upper hand on him. At the same time, Grogu is cornered by the Praetorian guards in another room, and when Din tries to go after him, he is blasted in the back, and then sort of pulled back by some grapple wire or whatever, and the doors close, so he can't get to him. Thankfully, Grogu is able to get out of the IG suit and do some flips and avoid the Praetorian guards in time for Din to fend off Gideon and then run straight toward him, just as Bo-Katan shows up to give him a hand. They have a big fight with the Darksaber and Gideon's little purple electric energy stick or whatever that the Praetorian guards are using. And while Din dispatches of the guards with some help from Grogu with the Force and all that. Things don't look too good for Bo-Katan as Gideon's able to get the upper hand and crush her hand and also the Darksaber at the same time. As he's, talking mad game, like you're nothing without your trinkets and all that, Din comes in and starts blasting, and the two start working together to take him out. And just as all of that is happening, Axe is flying the ship as it's landing into the atmosphere straight into the base, and warns everyone of it, and is able to get out in time. Bo-Katan and Din are able to knock Moff Gideon down just as Grogu helps them, be shielded from the blast and all the fire that occurs from the ship crashing into the base, and it looks like Moff Gideon is engulfed in the flames and supposedly is dead. After all that is all in good, the Mandalorians, celebrate by lighting the Great Forge and, cheering on for Mandalore. And after that, the Armorer takes everyone to, the great waters of the planet and basically baptize one of the foundlings and has him, swear an oath like everyone else. After that, Din tries to convince the Armorer to bless Grogu, even though he is too young to speak, at least in, terms of physical age, as, again, as far as I can tell, Grogu is, technically 50, maybe, judging by how old a Yoda was, and who knows how physically old he was when he was 50, so I don't know. Din kind of gives a solution when he says that, or asks what if he adopted Grogu as his own son, and the Armorer decides to make that an exception, saying this is the way. And I guess Grogu is now a Mandalorian, basically. Back on Navarro, Greek Karga congratulates, Mando, and, says, hey, here's this, nice little cabin on this patch of land, so you can just spend time with your family, And Din reveals that he also has a gift for Grief, which is a new and improved IG unit that can, serve as the city's sheriff, which is nice, real nice. Later, Din goes to this one planet with an island on it that gives me Hawaii vibes, where we met one of the New Republic pilots in a previous episode, and Din makes a deal with him, asking, hey, can I pick and choose specific missions under the table now that I've got Grogu with me? And the guy basically is like, I don't know about that, wink wink. So there's, some new jobs for the Mandalorian to do at some point in time. We then end on a scene where Din is sitting, on the porch of this nice little cabin, where across from him Grogu is playing by a little pond, using the Force on a frog, presumably to eat it, judging by what we've seen Grogu do. And that is the season finale of The Mandalorian Season 3. And it was a good episode. In my opinion, I'd say it partly helps fix this season a bit, but not by much. It's still, the whole season still feels a little disconnected from a full plot, because it's only until the last 2 episodes where we really get a full plot with a, beginning, middle, and end. Everything else just seems like set up character moments that don't add too much to the overall story and filler. And I wish it wasn't like that. And I'm not sure if the writers were put in the corner because they weren't sure what to do. Now that, there were talks about Dave Filoni doing a Star Wars movie that combines all the stuff from the new shows like Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and Boba Fett and Rebels. Maybe the writers were just worried they would kind of go in a completely different direction than what was being planned but not disclosed with them. At least that's what I think. But oh well, I'm not as mad as some people are with this season. It's not a good season, but it is better than some of the lower quality Star Wars stuff we've had this time. I would say it was, partly easier to watch than Andor, even though Andor was a decent show. It just had its own problems of getting to the point. Mandalorian still had a problem of getting to the point, but it was a bit shorter, and there's still stuff happening, and not just the slow, quiet espionage stuff that partly doesn't lead to the bigger picture and keep you coming back in some ways. But that's just my opinion. I do hope that season 4, if that does happen, or if they're just going to kind of end things more definitively in the Dave Filoni movie, but I'd hope that they get their stuff together with that in terms of a full coherent story that takes all these characters and really does something with them. But I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see, especially with the Ahsoka show coming out in August. But I will be there to review that and talk about other Star Wars stuff when I can. So that's that. I'm going to give episode 8 an 8 out of 10. I thought it was good. And as I like to do with a lot of TV shows for their seasons, I'm going to also give a season rating at the end. So I'm going to give Mandalorian Season 3 a 7 out of 10. It could have been better. And that was my review of Mandalorian Season 3. Hope you guys liked it. Let me know what you guys thought of the show as a whole, or at least the season, more likely. And if you could, I would really appreciate it if you liked this video and maybe subscribed if you can. Otherwise, if you are a subscriber, or at least just a usual viewer, then I hope you stay tuned for more videos and more reviews, and I will see you all next time.